celebrating 9 years of podcast excellence. The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents the Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
I'm recording tonight's episode a little bit choked up. Sad. I mean, it shouldn't be, because for wrestling fans, we still have so many other promotions to watch. And I know that a number of the stars that we saw at Ring of Honor's Final Battle tonight, which this is a post show for that, and basically an epilogue for what they call tonight the end of an era. Because regardless of what Sinclair Broadcasting plans to do with this company come April 2022, everybody looked at this as what we remember Ring of Honor Wrestling for the 10 years I got to watch this promotion. And for those that are listening in this audience that got to watch this show and consume it, go to the shows themselves and enjoy it for almost 20 years, you know, I'm with you. I feel bad that this happened. This could have all been avoided. Yeah, when I talked about this a few weeks ago, once the releases happened, we took a lot of time to talk about it. And if I just gave you, I'm going to go through the names of people that have come to the doors of Ring of Honor, whether they were just starting, they made the name for themselves, and they moved on to greener pastures. The list is expansive, but I just want to go through and scope through some of the names we have here that were part of this damn roster. AJ Styles was there for a while. Alexis Lurie, Mickie James, as you know her, Amazing Kong, which you remember as Awesome Kong, Amazing Red, Christopher Daniels, Claudio Castagnoli, today Cesaro, CM Punk, ECW mainstay Danny Doring, Deonna Purrazzo, who appeared tonight as the as the Reina de Reinas champion for AAA, soon to go after Mickie James for a rematch for the Knockouts Championship at Impact Wrestling's Hard to Kill next month. Doug Williams, Eddie Kingston, Eddie Guerrero wrestled the first show. Excalibur, who is announcing AEW programming. The Great Muta, Homicide, Jeff Hardy, Jushin Thunder Liger, Just Incredible, Carl Anderson, the Machine Gun, Kenta Kobashi, Kota Ibushi, Kyle O'Reilly, Lance Storm, Low Key, Masato Tanaka, Matt Hardy, Matt Stryker, Matt Sydal, Mercedes Martinez, Mike Mondo, Mikey Whipwreck. Nick Gage was here before GCW. Nigel McGuinness. Pac, Paul London, Petey Williams. Bryan Danielson, of course I got to remember. Samoa Joe. Ricky Morton. Robbie Brookside, Sal Renaro, who's an NWA, right? Satoshi Kojima, first MLW World Heavyweight Champion. Serena Deeb. Sanjay Dutt. Steve Corino. Stevie Richards. Super Crazy. Teddy Hart. I didn't make mention of Davey Richards. I didn't make mention of Eddie Edwards. I didn't make mention of Kevin Steen, El Generico, Sami Zayn. Always we know Kevin Steen's Kevin Owens. The who's who of that roster. Look at all those names right now. How many of them are active today? And are some of the biggest stars we still have? Of course, Tyler Black, Seth Rollins. Look at all that talent. Now, part of it is, of course, this is a company that never really reached up to a certain level. I want to say by 2017, there was a point where Ring of Honor had the opportunity under Sinclair. If Sinclair would have put the extra investment in, Sinclair could have cornered the market, taken over for Impact Wrestling, and they could have been what AEW was. But the infancy of AEW began in Ring of Honor. And so, really, what Ring of Honor was, we now moved to AEW. Because AEW has carried the rock, and now they're moving forward. Meanwhile, some of the stars, see, at least with AEW, you have those stars that are moving up, and then when you have the WWE, they basically just pillaged the roster, took them for what they were worth. That's all that mattered. Tonight's program was really good. A number of debuts coming in, but remember, we watched this show tonight, and after the Christmas tapings that are coming up right now that they're going to do from the Chesapeake Employers Arena in Baltimore, Maryland, the former UMBC Event Center. After that's done, their last set of tapings, they close. I guess they're going to be called Ring of Honor, but all of those stars that came in tonight, except for the ones that are contracted with other companies, but those Ring of Honor contracted talent, they're done. They're no longer contracted by Ring of Honor. What are they going to do? Come back? I mean, there has been nothing said by Sinclair Broadcasting of what they plan to do. I don't think they have a plan in place. They say April 2022, but there's nothing being said. And you want to know why? It's because this company can't afford to hold on to this promotion. They can't afford. We talked about this several days after the October 28th episode where I talked about this here happening. When I saw that it was done, Ring of Honor was in peril. They weren't coming back. Episode 649, take a look for it. I said, that's it. And then the week after that, they got hit with bad financial news. If you need to get in here real quick, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what it is right now. They have over $12 billion worth of debt. They are trying to set up the over-the-top service for the Bally Sports regional networks that they bought so they could put them on digital. They could put them on their own streaming platform. So there's streaming service Diamond Sports Group LLC. They've been working on launching right now. The financial results, they have $12.530 billion worth of debt, and $8 billion of that is towards their streaming service. So we know why they have lost where they are. We know they also had the ransomware attack that also disrupted their local programming. In their last earnings report, no mention of Ring of Honor. Nothing. They talked about, the tennis channel now streaming in the UK and other places, the National Desk News program, renewed affiliations with CW Network, My Network TV, and multi-year agreements with a number of sports franchises for their Bally Sports regional networks. That's it. There's no way, unless Ring of Honor was such a strong, viable, heavily profitable commodity, then they wouldn't have done what they did. And it wasn't like this company was taking home much of their bottom line. Multi-billion-dollar company compared to $12 billion. But by the way, this company is still worth $6 billion, if I'm correct. There's a lot of money behind this company anyway, and all their assets. Like, there's a lot of value to them. But operating where they are, they don't have the funds to continue this. To their credit, they did continue to keep this company going when this company was on the outs as well. Remember that. In 2011, Kerry Silken sold Ring of Honor to Sinclair Broadcasting. And so for a good 10 years, they were able to continue the brand to the credit. And that's the way I got to watch it. But I just remember listening to the mid-2000s and everybody complaining about WWE and TNA not delivering what we really wanted in terms of fans, and always knowing there were not the other brands out there And I just always kept hearing about Ring of Honor. And I would consistently hear about every podcast I listened to early on, 2005, 2006. I would hear shows that would talk about Ring of Honor religiously, especially live audio wrestling. They love talking about Ring of Honor. And it was never a big, huge promotion, but they did get themselves on TV. They got on the HDNet. Mike Hogwood was the host was doing the play-by-play on those shows. And then you had Kevin Kelly after that. And then you had Ian Riccaboni after that. And the current roster, the normal setup of the TV show, I couldn't watch the TV show itself. I think it was just filler. I mean, one thing that Ring of Honor lacked a bit was they were not overly intense in storylines, especially towards the end. I mean, part of it, too, was that their relationship with New Japan Pro Wrestling and what they had to go and do with some of the talent that would come in for a while, and knowing they couldn't, change titles or book any storylines over a long period, they couldn't do that right then and there. And that's okay. I understand that part. They filled a hole. They filled a role of what needed to happen. I mean, we lost World Championship Wrestling. And we lost Extreme Championship Wrestling. WCW and ECW left 2001. So then you had Ring of Honor was one of the first companies to come out after all of that. As one of the first promotions to come out and really bring talent together. And then if you look at the way things were going after that, then it followed with MLW, Major League Wrestling, and TNA in the summer of 2002. So you had companies and you had people that were trying to make their way back in of what they could do. And then after that, Ring of Honor filled the void because there needed to be a place for all these great stars that were being built up that if WCW were still around, maybe some of these stars would have made it there. And WCW could have had a renaissance. On ECW especially. ECW would have swooned with all the stars that could have been out of here, that could have been brought together. But Ring of Honor filled the void. They are detrimental. They are crucial to the continuation of professional wrestling as we see it today. They carried the flag. And as they say, they did it with honor. It was always important to them. Pretty much about the code of honor, always mentioning about, the way matches were set up and the purity in some cases of the wrestling itself. The stars that they made on their own and they were able to put together. It's a hell of a group. Look, NXT, let's be honest. After you lose the Wyatt family and the Shield and all the horsewomen, which is a good chunk of the NXT roster that we all remember from the early days at Full Sail. How do you replenish that talent? They tried with other talent that came in, Triple H, William Regal, and the rest at NXT at that time. They all looked to Ring of Honor. Not necessarily TNA, but Ring of Honor was the place. Because the talent that was there was able to travel everywhere else. I mean, how many stars do we know of? We're not even talking about the stars that made their way over to Japan and other places. I mean, I forgot to mention Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, Jay White. Forgot about talking about them. The mainstays of this promotion since day one. You look at the Briscoes. You look at Rhett Titus. The Kenny King coming in and out all the time. I mean, what an amazing roster, what an amazing group. Final battle happened tonight. Quickly through the card, let me just go through it, and I got some more comments to talk about the company itself. So pre-show matches: PJ Black, Flip Gordon, Brian Milonas, Milonas, right? Milonas, Beer City Bruiser, and world famous CB, defeating LSG, Sledge, Max the Impaler, Demonic Flamita, and Will Ferrara. Chelsea and the Hex, Allysin K and Marti, Belle defeated Angelina, Mandy, Leon, and Miranda, Alize. The Righteous, which Vincent, Bateman, and Dutch, accompanied by Vita VonStarr, defeated Shane Taylor Promotions, Kaun, Moses Associate Edwards, accompanied by Ron Hunt. For the World Six-Man Tag Team titles, Dragon Lee defeated Rey Horus. Now, in the matches that happened after this, I want to make mention. Dalton Castle coming back, TV champion, in full regalia from Catalina Island. And really, it was nice to see him back in the heel role, just back in that just flamboyant persona, because I didn't like the direction they took Dalton Castle, especially with the whole stuff with Joe Hendry. I didn't like it. Didn't care for it. But Dalton Castle's chase for the world title the first time around was great. You know, that was just that run that he had and just the popularity. And you can see the crowd was totally into him tonight. Probably didn't have 1,000 people at that show tonight. They didn't have the upper deck full. No, there was nobody in the upper deck. About what they've had in previous events in the last couple of years. And I mean, they're not going to really fill any bigger stadiums than that. And they've only stuck to Baltimore because Sinclair probably wanted to keep it within reach and they weren't going to put them on the road. They had not put Ring of Honor on the road in a long time, which is another part of the cost that they never put on themselves. And they didn't really put much in terms of certain contracts and renewing, just things that were going on there that kind of tell you the writing was on the wall with that company where they were going. But they did pay their employees. Yeah, I know. They made sure to give us that point when they decided to release everybody after the fact. And talk about the hiatus back in October. So Dalton Castle defeated Silas Young, Joe Hendry. Rhett Titus won, beating Dalton Castle, Silas Young, and Joe Hendry. And Rhett Titus has won the World Tag Team titles, All Night Express, with Kenny King. And this was his first singles title in the 16-year career he's been with Ring of Honor. So good for him. They obviously did some redemption tonight with him and Jonathan Gresham winning the World Heavyweight title tonight, which if you would have kept going with the promotion, you would have been getting this belt anyway, because Gresham has really built himself so much. And the Foundation storyline has been really well. We'll talk about that. Josh Woods over Brian Johnson, Ring of Honor Pure Championship, which is fine. I've never been one to pay too much close attention to the Pure Tournament, to the Pure Championship, when they brought that back. Fight Without Honor, Shane Taylor versus Kenny King, and Shane Taylor wins. And I'm going to say this, and this will be an unpopular opinion for some of you, but when Keith Lee and Shane Taylor were together as a tag team, I thought Shane Taylor was the better talent. Call me crazy. Sure, Keith Lee, when it comes to the persona and when it comes to the charisma, sure. But the one out of that group I would have preferred is Shane Taylor. I think Shane Taylor is just he's a beast. He's a mastodon. That guy is agile as hell as well. And that's why that team worked so well. I liked Kenny King and Keith Lee. I keep saying Kenny King. Keith Lee, because I think Kenny King and Shane Taylor did tag, didn't they? So, yeah. Keith Lee, Shane Taylor was a great tag team in that promotion. By the way, the tag teams they had in there as well. War Machine, or now Viking Raiders. Young Bucks making their way through. Future Shock with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. When Kevin Steen and El Generico tagged together. There was a lot of great teams that came through there. Roxy defeated Willow Nightingale for the women's world title. Roxy's won like 10 straight wins. Willow Nightingale, I've seen a lot in MLW right now because he just started their women's featherweight division there. Roxy got confronted after the match by Deonna Purrazzo, the Impact Knockouts, or the former knockout champion for Impact Wrestling, the Reign of the Reigners champion for AAA, and Deonna Purrazzo challenged her, not at Hard to Kill, because at Hard to Kill, like I said, Mickie James is her opponent, but then Deonna Purrazzo expects to win the Knockouts title over Mickie James and wants to challenge for winner take all for 2 or all 3 belts at Gilley's in Dallas, Texas. at the tapings of Impact Wrestling coming up next month. Will Roxy make her way into the promotion? And also, of the stars they had here, we know that AEW is pretty full right now. So it leaves us to say, okay, does Impact Wrestling look at some of this talent? I say yes. And then MLW and NWA, hey, pickings are plenty. This is a hell of a roster of stars that you could go and bring onto your brands, and they'll help enhance what you got. Now, I know with Court Bauer, it's very specific on who he decides to bring in and who he likes, so I understand that part. But there's a lot of stars here that absolutely, like, somebody needs to pick them up. When you look at, okay, Dalton Castle, somebody's got to pick him up. Rhett, Titus, absolutely. When I look at Shane Taylor, somebody needs to go after him too. If that means the productions are together, so be it. We know the Roxy Willow Nightingale. Listen, those girls are going to find work. Willow Nightingale's already in MLW, and I think she's in Star. I forget what other promotions she's in. But Willow Nightingale's getting a lot of work. And obviously with all the TV time, she's getting more popular. And already popular before I knew it anyway. Brody King. I mean, come on. And then you forget PCO being champion there at that brand. And Bandito, who did not get to work tonight because of COVID-19. Roosh. Look at all these stars they had in this company, even at the end. So Brody King, that guy should be working anywhere. Big deal, right, as well. I can see a Brody King going to NWA. Like, I mean, here's the thing, too. We know there was a participation with Tony Khan of AEW, Scott D'Amore of Impact Wrestling, and Billy Corgan of the NWA. This new wrestling alliance we've been talking about for a year on this program. Well, Ring of Honor necessarily was not part of that new wrestling alliance. That's part of Sinclair. But tonight's show really didn't feel like there was any rules put upon. Ring of Honor was able to do their show as they wanted to. So it really felt like, more of a homecoming and more their way to close out as they wanted, as they saw fit. On any kind of restrictions. And it felt like that. It did not feel like a promotion that was on the way out. It did not feel like a promotion that was, to just put in their last show and they're on their last legs. It didn't feel like that. Tonight's show was booked as good as I've seen in the last couple of years for them. Pre-pandemic, after All Out, or after All In, once AEW came into play, the 2019 Ring of Honor shows, they had some good shows there. And that's where they kind of were with this show tonight. It felt like whether we're back in 2019 again. But yeah, man, you got Brody King. Homicide's been working back in a couple of different places. He's always going to find places to go anyway. The Homicide's always got work. EC3, who's now created a new, sounds like the faction that's called the Awakening. And I forget who else he had in the group. Looked like one of the Forgotten Sons. I want to say Wesley Blake. No, I don't know. I forget who it was. There were two other guys who were with EC3 that came out after the match they had, the 8-man tag, where Brody King, Homicide, EC3, and Tony Deppen defeated Tracy Williams, Taylor Rust, Rocky Romero, and Eli Isom. Well, EC3 talks to the group after the match, talks about the Awakening, controlling the narrative, takes some shots subliminally at Sinclair Broadcasting because of it being a corporate company that Ring of Honor was being held by. It's still being held by. And the former Braun Strowman, Adam Shearer, a.k.a. Titan, debuts in Ring of Honor. Imagine if you could have kept going the Ring of Honor shows and you still had this happening. Could have got some eyes back on the product. But we know that Titan or Adam Shearer, he's going to be somewhere. And this faction, obviously, is going somewhere. Who's going to pick them up? Who's going to bring them on? They obviously coming as a team. Like EC3, Adam Shearer, and I forget the other two guys. Yeah. There's got to be some wrestling company that wants to bring them in for something. I don't know who, but any wrestling promotion should take a look. And one of them should pick these guys up. Pick up this faction. OGK, Matt Tevin, and Mike Bennett fall to the Briscoes, who become 12-time Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. And a very good match, by the way. It was really good. Briscoes, they had the chance to go and lead to other promotions, but, they might have said some things that would have hurt their chances than they did. The days of cancer culture, it's real. And Briscoes definitely put themselves in that position, regardless of what people think. Matt Taven looked really good in this match, by the way. Took a lot of the brunt of the match, and he was the one that got pinned. But they made him look strong by taking everything they had. Doomsday Device, Froggy Bow, Jay Driller, and Taven kicked out of all of them. That's huge. So give credit there. Matt Taven still being booked strong towards the end. Another big shock in this match. The Briscoes, Jay Briscoe, shouts out to the crowd. Basically offers an open challenge. And FTR come out. The former AEW World Tag Team Champions, or now the AAA Tag Team Champions. They come in. Big brawl ensues. Book that match, please. FTR and Briscoes, book that damn match. Is Tony Khan bringing those guys into the company for a program? Tell me they are. Tell me you're bringing the Briscoes into AEW just for the purpose of getting them to feud with FTR. Please do. I hope so. What a hell of a match. Oh, my goodness. And Jonathan Gresham, former World Television Champion. I believe he was also former Tag Team Champions with Jay Lethal. Not a long match tonight, but Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham, long story short, it was, if you have to go to the leniency, the leniency of the Ring of Honor World title, I don't know if that means that we're Bandito going down to COVID and not defending the belt tonight, if it was vacated or stripped of the title, and it really said that. But instead of the actual Ring of Honor World title we've all seen, the current belt, they used the very original belt and called it a world title match just for the sake of Jonathan Gresham winning the belt to close out Ring of Honor. The final Ring of Honor World Champion, in my eyes. And that's it. I enjoyed the pay-per-view. I thought it was a straight A. I enjoyed it. But what does it mean now to the rest of the promotion? It's a promotion. Listen, I didn't talk about Ring of Honor, religiously, because there was not much to say in terms of the storylines that really progressed on television. The TV show was flat. It was vanilla. So if you wanted to watch some wrestling for a good 60 minutes, yeah, sure. It was definitely worth that part. But I want progression of storylines. I want something that goes along that gives me a reason to watch. And, the TV show really didn't do so much for me. Not to mention, when you have certain shows that could be spoiled, we know that the program has certain storylines we learn about or certain things that happen and they get reported. When you're booking so far ahead as well. And what are you going to do? That's a disadvantage that Impact Wrestling, NWA, and MLW and Ring of Honor all have. But I really do feel that Ring of Honor, their spot in the totem pole of that third tier of professional wrestling promotions on television, it takes a hit right now. Now, Sinclair Broadcasting will continue to air Ring of Honor Wrestling, but they'll be doing best of episodes. So they're going to go from the tape library and show past. They have lots of matches, lots of content in the last 10 years to run. We did hear the reports that the tape library was for sale, but Ring of Honor won. But Sinclair, obviously, they were trying to use the value of the tape library to really get a big buyer because they're trying to take their assets to kind of their debt to fund Diamond Sports, their over-the-top streaming platform for Bally Sports. That's what they wanted it for. As a company, Sinclair Broadcasting, I understand what they're doing at this point. I can comprehend enough to understand. But my thing was, it never had to get there. my personal gripe is in 2017, why didn't they find a buyer? If Tony Khan wanted to be a part of things, if Tony Khan, instead of having to start All Elite by himself, why didn't he just buy Ring of Honor? I feel like if the company we knew was going to be for sale, who's to say that Eric Bischoff or some other, or Jeff Jarrett, who knows? I mean, Jeff Jarrett could have gone try to find investors. Eric Bischoff could have tried to find investors. Remember, Jeff Jarrett was trying to start Global Force Wrestling at the same time. And he could have, around that time, and he was trying to get that promotion to stay alive. Who's to say he didn't try to go and, if Sinclair was offering to sell Ring of Honor, why didn't they? Especially when they were going to do what they were going to do with the regional sports networks. But I guess they never planned for a pandemic to happen. But they gave this company, they gave the promotion a budget, and that's it. I don't know if it would change much, but as I said back in October, I give credit for Sinclair because they did elevate the promotion to another level in terms of the presentation. It looked better. It sounded better. The cameras were better. All that became better, and it took a while to get there. So I give them that part. I mean, part of the thing is that whoever was running Ring of Honor in terms of what Sinclair was doing before, then they found a production company to take over for what they were doing, and the shows just got made better. Like the production quality from the time of HDNet to when Sinclair took over the show to today, the show looks much better. I don't think anybody complains too much anymore because like the lighting's better in the arenas, the way they have the set look, it looks really good. Like, I mean, really, even tonight, it looked good, it sounded good, it was really nice. And for the last 5 years, the show looked really good. I thought what they were doing with the shows, they came out great. And the same production company produced All Elite Wrestling's first show. The initial show that started All Elite Wrestling that became an idea that became reality. All In. Ring of Honor's production company, they did that show. They did it. And I give them credit. Now, the history of Ring of Honor, as I feel it closes today, is extensive. Founded in February 2002 to take the place of ECW for RF Video, a.k.a. Rob Feinstein. It was a breeding ground for TNA/Impact and WWE, okay? The current names you still have right now today that are so prominent. Samoa Joe, which hopefully we see him back somewhere. CM Punk, Bryan Danielson, Austin Aries, I didn't bring his name up, but I should. Tyler Black or Seth Rollins, Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens, and Eddie Edwards made their names in Ring of Honor, as a host of others did the same. And Ring of Honor was also synonymous in the early days with working with other promotions. When it came to New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah, Dragon Gate. But like I said, Ring of Honor got to more homes and got in front of more eyes because of Sinclair. Not only did Sinclair add programming for their stations, they expanded the reach for Ring of Honor. They went from going from producing a newly revamped weekly television series and internet pay-per-views to producing quarterly pay-per-view events distributed on national TV or being syndicated or picked up by non-Sinclair networks. And there was a time for 26 weeks in 2015 where the show was on Destination America, on the same channel that Impact Wrestling was run. You had TV reruns being aired on Sinclair programming called Comet, Charge, and Stadium. You had their pay-per-views on Fight TV. Then they had their own streaming service, Honor Club. It was one time you could definitely say that Ring of Honor was the third largest wrestling promotion in the United States. It was. When they had all that New Japan talent coming in, Cody, Young Bucks, AJ Styles, and all these free agents coming their way through, they were the number 3 promotion. Because Impact Wrestling was near death. They had the fall with Billy Corgan. Anthem had not come into the situation yet, and they were just hanging on by a string. Lost a Pop TV deal. Then Impact got onto Pursuit Channel. It was a hard place to find them. 2019 was the year that Ring of Honor really hurt. Ticket sales dropped. You had a lot of talent that moved into All Elite Wrestling, which we knew that was going to happen soon enough. And their booking also suffered. Mixed to negative reviews. Which I'll admit was some of the shows they had. I mean, some of the, creating the foundation, it was good. It was okay, but like just some of the things they did. Taven's faction with Vincent and Bateman. Yeah. There was just some things they had where they also had to go back to some of the same people to rehash storylines or to bring in to keep working the top of the card when it came to Jay Lethal or Briscoes. And it might just be a little bit of exhaustion of seeing those guys at the top. In January 2020, Ring of Honor announced they signed Marty Scurll, the villain, not just as on-screen talent, but also as the head booker, hoping to rejuvenate the company. That partnership came to an abrupt end around a year ago, January 2021, after a wave of sexual misconduct allegations. October 27, 2021, Ring of Honor announced it would be going on hiatus to be reimagined for the first quarter 2021. And the final battle, December 2021, was going to be their last live event. And the entire roster was released from their contracts. So we close out Bandito, or you could say Jonathan Gresham, are your Ring of Honor World Champions to close things out. Dragon Lee continues to, Rhett Titus continues to be, is now your Ring of Honor World Television Champion to close out. Dragon Lee and Kenny King, the Briscoes are now finally your Tag Team Champions to close things out. Josh Woods closes out as Ring of Honor Pure Champion. Roxy, the World Women's Champion. And the Righteous, Vincent, Bateman, and Dutch are your World Six-Man Tag Team Champions. I hate to see this happen. It bothers me. Because I like the fact that there are other promotions out there. This was a promotion I got to talk about the entire run of this program. I never thought we would get back to the point where another TV promotion would falter. This is the third one I've seen. Well, I remember seeing all the ones that left because of what WWF did. AWA closing. World Class Championship Wrestling closing. UWF closing. But like I said, those Monday Night Wars, we had casualties those days. Casualties. That's WCW and ECW. The pandemic ultimately caused Ring of Honor to be a casualty in the wrestling business. I mean, there's a lot of companies that you could say that they wouldn't have been able to survive this, but Ring of Honor, it took a while for them to come back. It took longer than most promotions to come back and start doing shows again. And the bulk of their shows they did were in front of empty stadiums, empty crowds. When for the last 6 months, last 5 months, we've been accustomed as fans to watch fans in the stands again. And only during pay-per-views did he actually bring some fans back in, socially distanced. But that's the company just being safe. I understand. But to watch that show like that was going to be tough, along with whatever else they were doing. Not the same. And so we had that happen, and it's like, wow. Now we're here, and this company is... They didn't give us anything that made any indication that we would see them back. It was great to see all the stars send video messages back over. The debuts that came in tonight. Obviously, we have a couple of feuds that will be from Ring of Honor. I'm curious to find out if the Ring of Honor titles will be defended elsewhere. We obviously know the Ring of Honor women's title is going to be defended outside at Impact Wrestling at some point next month. Sounds like let's see if the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles are going to be defended by the Briscoes to FTR. I'm guessing so. I mean, will it be that Sinclair is going to allow these belts to all be featured in other shows. I mean, NWA did it for a while when they were not on television for a while. I don't know. But now that we're here, next month's going to be interesting because now we can find out which of the other stars that are completely removed from their contracts and they finish the tapings coming up this weekend, where do they go next? That's what I really want to find out. Who gets signed at this Ring of Honor talent that's remaining? I want to see that. That's going to be exciting. There's a lot of good folks that are out there that should get picked up. So let's wait for that. In the meantime, I'm going to close out just the fact that it's just I don't want to see Ring of Honor go away. It was a good promotion. I can't say I really crapped on this promotion as much as I would have Impact or TNA. Or like I did WCW maybe to myself when I was watching it back in the day. Or how I might complain about WWE now. Right? So all that. Well, anyway, I'm not going to bring anything else up. Nothing outside of the wrestling world in terms of Jeff Hardy getting released by WWE right now. I can talk about that later. Or we can just find out where he's going to land, more importantly. But tonight it's only about Ring of Honor. And I appreciate what they did for wrestling. I mean, as a wrestling fan for decades, Ring of Honor holds a place with me as to what it meant. There were a lot of great matches. Adam Cole, I didn't even mention on this show. I've mentioned him a little bit, but seriously, some of the matches I got to watch on those shows, some of those pay-per-views were fantastic. Really enjoyed it. And there were some times they had some good events. Like that G1 Supercar was fantastic. Adam Cole and Kevin Steen. Adam Cole losing a tooth. I mean, there were just some drag-out fights with the Briscoes winning the titles. Ring of Honor had some of the quirkiest damn managers out there. I got to make mention of Truth Martini and Prince Nana and Maria Kanellis. I mean, got to make mention of those. And, man, it's a lot of good that happened there. We're not going to get that Ring of Honor again. Will the tape library be sold? I mean, Ring of Honor could be around. My question is Sinclair Broadcasting going to unload it? Once they're finally finished, they could try to look for buyers and they could try to find something. It'll be dependent upon the other wrestling promotions and the people that hold those cards. Scott D'Amore, Tony Khan, Billy Corgan, Court Bauer. I'm hoping all those guys will come in and pick some of these stars up. Because there's some great talent here. And by the way, especially Bobby Cruz. Damn it. One of my favorite announcers of wrestling. I'm always been big about announcers when it comes to Gary Michael Capetta. And Dave Penzer always like for a long time, right? And of course, Howard Finkel. So let's get Bobby Cruz. And by the way, Court Bauer. Court. Buddy, I watch your shows. They're great. If it's possible for you, St. Laurent, and that team can bring some of this talent over. By the way, you guys badly need an announcer. No more Steven DeAngelis. No more of these people that you bring off over here. Some of these other, ring announcers that you have. Get quality. Okay? Billy Corgan, Court Bauer, somebody please pick up Bobby Cruz. This guy needs to be in wrestling somewhere. If he's not a Ring of Honor, please get him somewhere and put him on your show. He's fantastic. As for Ian Riccaboni and Caprice Coleman, listen, they're fine. Now, Ian Riccaboni I always thought was over the top. Always preferred Kevin Kelly. Nothing against Riccaboni. I just, it was kind of pushed. He's fine. Listen, he doesn't bother me. He works for what it's worth. And if you want to use him somewhere else, that's fine too. But, compare I mean, compare him to what we have on TV. I'm not a big fan of Matt Striker and D'Lo Brown in any sense. I think the Impact Wrestling announced team is lacking. I did prefer Josh Matthews better. I'm not a big Matt Striker guy. That's personally my thing. I think Joe Galley works really well when it comes to the NWA. I mean, Tim Storm's fine. Velvet Sky is fine. Well, then there'll be MLW, Rich Bikini, Joe Dombrowski. That's a fine team. I got no problem there. The Bikini does a really good job with what he's doing there. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. So thank you for listening to the program. And for those of you that normally, you might have just caught this episode tonight, the fact that I just happen to be a Ring of Honor fan, that, you know, I'm one of the few guys that probably wanted to do a post show tonight. And I've missed a couple of post shows to do for Ring of Honor because I wasn't head over heels over the shows. But tonight absolutely needed a post show. Absolutely needed a post show. This is a historical moment. It's a watershed moment. This, regardless of what you think, this changes the landscape of professional wrestling right now. It alters. It is a tectonic shift. This will benefit this new wrestling alliance and the likes of Impact Wrestling, NWA, and MLW all need to benefit from this. And maybe All Elite Wrestling will probably take some of this talent as well. They already picked up Jay Lethal. Briscoes, I'm guessing it's going to be for a short time. I don't know what they're going to do. But there's a lot of good stars here that Ring of Honor's acquired, and they had them under contract, and they were good. I mean, you can run. I mean, any of the independent promotion could do something with this. I know that Brian Alvarez and the folks, they think this is going to continue, but this is the end to me. I don't think Sinclair is going to do anything with this company. I don't believe it. To not run programming that's worthy on their own TV brand and to reimagine, they didn't have to reimagine anything. Just had to book it better. If there was better talent to go and grab, then do that too. There was no reason to shut this all down and just release the talent. Once they release the talent, it's dead. Ring of Honor's promotion's done. And for some people, this will also be an extra blow because NXT is kind of feeling like the same thing. It continues now in perpetuity, but it's not that same because Ring of Honor was the original idea of what NXT was to many of the people that were watching NXT most recently and really enjoyed it. Because like I said, how many stars did they get from Ring of Honor? How many times did I have to say that over and over? So we'll come back with a regular episode Wednesday going into Thursday. Until then, come back for another Wrestling is Real podcast because wrestling needs us. Thank you for listening to the Wrestling is Real podcast. You can find all previous episodes at WrestlingIsReal.com or subscribe to the show on all major podcast outlets, including Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Follow the King of Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at King of Podcasts, and search King of Podcasts on YouTube, or type youtube.com/JBRASCO951. This has been a presentation of the King of Podcasts Radio Network.